Mike Tyson said what he saw. You know, he saw a devastating finish by Francis Ngannou. It was no surprise for me because several camps way before we got into this boxing thing, I've seen Francis knocking guys out so many times. And thing is, it's not the vision you're thinking. Like I remember old Mike Tyson back in the days when he was fighting, he used to knock his sparring partners out mercilessly, like really put it on them. Francis wasn't trying to knock his guys out; he just did. You know, he has
Naturally.
that type of power. He didn't do it with bad intention or it got heated like the video of Tyson Fury getting cut a few weeks ago. It was regular gentlemen sparring, but the punch landed and the day was over. You know what I mean? So I've seen him do that so many times. But when Mike Tyson seen it, he said, "Yeah, I really like this." But before that, Mike and Francis had met years before, and Mike and Francis agreed if Francis ever did a boxing fight, that I'm talking 4 years ago before the Fury fight, that if it ever happened, Mike would come there and support him and help him if he could, etc. So they stayed true to their friendship and their word, and that's what happened.
Going into that fight with Fury, I mean, what was the game plan? What was the structure? Is that something that you can't kind of throw out there in the media because you might need something similar to that for Joshua, or is it a completely different fight?
It's definitely a completely different fight because they're two completely different fighters. Um, you guys know what Tyson Fury does. He's a highly faceted, high dimensional fighter. He can fight about three different styles. He can
Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Smash the like button. He probably just got a phone call. Or he's
yeah. I took it off. I hate that. I got it on silent. Tyson Fury, highly faceted guy. He can get behind the jab and beat you from a long distance. He can go, mano y mano and brawl you out. Or he can go his dirty boxing, what I call B hop style, clinch you up, hit you in those blind spots, and break you down mentally before he actually breaks you down physically with frustration and his suspect tactics, if you know what I mean.
hmm
So we just wanted Fresh to have many styles. We brought in camp several different guys to really give him different looks. So if any one of those cards were pulled by Tyson Fury, it wouldn't frustrate him. And that's what you've seen. People really underestimated, even though it was Francis's first boxing fight, he's had boxing trainers for a long time. I'm his coach, a multi-world championship winning boxing coach who does know the difference out of MMA striking and boxing striking, but you can mesh the two together well. Um, his other coach, John Mumba, who a lot of people aren't talking about. John's my guy. He's from France, and he's a straight conventional boxer as well. And so we put it together the right way. We just had Francis prepared for any style or any card Tyson Fury decided to pull, and we just knew that Francis is more athletic than what they would expect. He could fight from both stances like they wouldn't expect. And that's what he showed that night. And by the way, everyone on the team predicted a knockdown. I mean, we were not surprised by anything that happened in that fight. The only thing I will say, it was his first fight. And to fight a 10-round fight, your first fight, is really a hard task. Had the fight been 8 rounds or something, I think the fight would have been even more in our favor because we'd have released the chains and told him to go hunt. But we had to use a level of intelligence too because it was his first one and we didn't want him to gas out. So, we kind of told him to hold back a little bit. It wasn't just him being passive. He was getting that advice in the corner. And it wasn't the wrong thing, but we were looking at it to be more safe. That won't be the case this time. With the experience he got from the Tyson Fury fight, we know it can do 10. We've crossed that bridge. We'll never even go into a fight thinking like that again.
Rematch is concerned. Obviously, the community looked at it very lopsided from every angle, even to LeBron James saying that Ngannou won. Do you feel like he needs that to bring that to the community before his career is ended? And there's obviously a lot of money tied around that rematch as well. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, the perfect world, yeah, because remember, I honestly felt like we won the fight. And if I felt like we didn't, I'd say, oh, Tyson edged it out. But I felt like we won it. So I was more hurt about it than Francis. I'll say that.
Mm.
One
Um,
one thing of one thing about the fight is that, you know, when you fight someone, you're a boxer, you're a coach. There's an unspoken rule. When two dudes fight, that's in a 4 round fight, maybe not so much, but when you get some real time, 8, 10, 12, when the fight's over, spiritually, both guys know who won. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself.
facts.
Tyson knew he didn't win that fight for two reasons: his demeanor after the fight, and who do you know in the history of fighting? Now, I can't think of one person, and this is something that people probably didn't know. In the history of fighting, how many guys won and retained? Well, it wasn't a championship fight, but he's still the champion. If you lose, it looks like you lost your belt. How many champions win a big, tough, competitive fight and refuse to go to their own post-fight press conference?
Mm.
We had no post fight after that fight. That was a mega event. You have a UFC champion versus a boxing champion. It ended up living up to the expectation. It ended up going far beyond the expectation. The post fight conference was necessary. It should have happened. And him and his team refused to do it.
Mm.
And so they canceled the entire post fight press conference. Um, if you felt you won the fight, you're gonna go to the post fight and say it with your chest out, man. So it is what it is. One judge thought we won it like I thought, and unfortunately two didn't. So we have to live with that reality. However, if you're gonna lose anyway, if you're gonna lose in a way not to lose confidence and belief in yourself, this was the best way. Francis is very confident. He feels like he won the fight, so he's walking around with a winner's swagger. We feel like he won the fight, so the team is very confident with what he can do, his abilities, and his potential. And it's all going to come out 2 weeks from tonight, March 8th. The world going to see it. We expect victory on March 8th.
Um, you spoke upon that you believe that Anthony Joshua can't take the shots that Ngannou will be able to give him. Um,
Well, I didn't necessarily say that. Francis said
didn't you
that.
say that? I felt like you said that the shots that he has will. I thought you said that on the press conference. Honestly,
No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. I said the flaming fist of Francis will finish Joshua.
yeah,
But
pretty
but
much.
but but
Yeah, yeah.
but so I'm not necessarily saying he can't take it.
Mm.
I'm saying at some point, I see him not being able to overcome what Francis is going to bring. Francis and some people, well, not us, man, the whole world. Some people think he can't take as much as he give. I don't feel that way. But like I said, in Francis' case, he should feel that way. When you consider the hardest puncher in the world, tested, not just us saying it, he's punched the power cube harder than anyone else on the planet so far. And until someone punches it harder, he's the hardest puncher in the world. When you're the hardest puncher in the world, of course you feel you can put anyone's lights out. So that's the sentiment going into this fight. If Francis can land, he can end anyone. So it's not just like it's an indictment on Joshua, because I feel Joshua is as good and strong as any boxing champion in the world. And when you're Francis and Ngannou, it don't matter how big and strong you are. If you get hit the right way, the fight's over.
Is there any advantages of coming from MMA to boxing when it comes to footwork and stuff like that? Because you guys are obviously we're always both on both toes. My thing was I was like the angles and the little steps that Wilder could, I mean Fury could possess as far as traps. You guys kind of neutralize that with your movements and stuff like that. Is there any advantage, or is this like this is your guy? This is what you guys train for? Because it looked completely like you're ready. And it seems to me that coming into this Joshua fight, you're not just looking just to, just knock him out. You guys believe, and the people believe that you guys can outbox
Yeah, well, see, that's a touchy subject because I do them all, right? And there is a such thing of MMA striking. But in my opinion, it's just my opinion, as an MMA coach who has several guys in UFC, I feel the basics of boxing, footwork, and when it comes to throwing punches, are by far the best. Period. I'll put a boxer against a Wing Chun expert. I'll put him against an MMA striker if they're just doing hands. I think the boxer will theoretically box put it this way. Boxing is a fucking. I'm gonna be real with you. Boxing is a refined art. There's no fluff. There's no wasted time. There's no spinning back fist. It's AB. Everything's out. Everything's back. No openings. It's the quickest, closest point between two distances or straight line type philosophy. And I think those are the most effective, honestly. But remember, Francis knows boxing too. He's just not an MMA fighter. People look at Francis like he's just a normal MMA fighter. There's very few MMA fighters in this world that are Francis Ngannou. Actually, there's none. So maybe the rhythm threw Fury off or something, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was the footwork. It's just Francis being special, man. It wasn't necessarily that the MMA techniques were better than the boxing techniques, because I really don't feel like the MMA striking techniques are better than boxing techniques. I just don't feel that way. UFC last week, Taporia beat the best guy in the world. Volkanovski is by far the greatest to ever do it in that weight class. All he did was stalk them, straight punches, right hand ends the fight. Taporia used basic boxing. Volkanovski moved around, footwork, switching stance, all this stuff, and got stopped in the beginning of the second round. So I'm not going to discredit boxing and say MMA makes it better. In a boxing fight, the boxer should be better. That's why all you guys thought it would be an easy fight for Tyson Fury. But you guys underestimated the person that Francis is. I really think the personnel, the person, the attributes, the lifestyle, the mentality, the DNA, and the confidence and belief in himself, along with having a great, astute team to help assist him, is what made what happened against Fury happen. Not necessarily him being an MMA fighter versus a boxer.
What did you get from your fighter Francis in the fight in the corner and after the fight is over and having conversations with him after the fight is over? What did you get out of those conversations as a coach?
I got a man who already knew it. See, I say this all the time. We can lie to everybody else, but we can't lie to ourselves. How many of you, how many of us, how many of them have had their biggest moment where the whole world was against them and still had the strength, the intestinal fortitude, and the true belief to know you're gonna be okay and know you're gonna shock the whole world? Think about that. That's a difficult question. Everybody, your mama, your brothers, your girlfriend's parents, everybody think you're gonna get beat. And for you to still know, not just believe, a little ounce of belief, but to know you're gonna beat this guy and know you can compete and know that he's not better than you at what he does. How many of us have that? Not many, because we hear that white noise, we hear the static, and it starts to consume us. That's how we see so many guys back in the Mike Tyson era, real champions like Bruce Sheldon, who should have had the style to give Mike Tyson a lot of trouble, fall before he even get hit. Because that static, that the people's thoughts, what they figure would happen, consumed them. What I seen in Francis before and after the fight, a man who knew he was gonna do it, who 100% believed he was gonna do it, and wasn't even shocked by the decision because he knew he won the fight anyway. It's a big difference out of believing and knowing, guys. Francis knows. And until someone proves him wrong, he's going to continue to know. And I've seen it too many times way before this boxing thing. Francis tore his knee 3 weeks before his last UFC fight. He fought a guy from his same gym that he started at, from the same coach that had the great, brilliant idea of making him do MMA versus boxing, his original coach. Fought the guy who's supposed to be the nemesis style of him in the UFC. His first world title defense. He blows his knees completely. He blow his knee completely out 3 weeks before the fight. He still took the fight, beat the guy on one leg and fought 25 minutes on one leg, and beat a guy who knows everything about him with the coach that got him started. If that's not knowing versus believing, nothing is. So that's all I seen after the fight. Francis knew he could do it. We knew he could do it. Look at the interviews before we got receipts. We told everybody what was going to happen, man.